What's good, people? Welcome back to another video with the Sickle Diary. It is me, Tanika, and today we're going to be talking about sickle cell trait, sickle cell, pain and painkillers today. So I'm supposed to have my mom in this video and I'm supposed to ask her some questions, but she's really unwell with the flu right now, so she's written me down a bunch of notes. As you can see, she's got really neat handwriting. So yeah, because I have such bad memory, this is why she's given me a bunch of notes, because knowing me, I'm gonna go off topic and I'm gonna forget. So how about we just get straight up into the video, guys? Okay, so as you know, I have sickle cell anemia, which is also called hemoglobin SS. So how I got sickle cell is both my parents have the trait. My mum knew she had the trait from I think the ages of 8 because she had a very bad car accident, and so operations and stuff, they had to basically fill in my mum and my grandma and tell them, okay, so she has sickle cell trait. That means operations are a little bit more dangerous, a bit more difficult. And my dad found out he had sickle trait through my grandma. When my mom ended up getting pregnant with me, the doctors asked her to do a test because obviously my dad knew he had sickle trait and my mom knew she had trait, and they wanted to make sure that I didn't have sickle cell, because back then a lot of babies were terminated because of sickle cell, but my mom and my dad refused because they didn't want to terminate me. So instead of having a test done, which is called the amniocentesis, they tested me at the age of 2 months. They did a prick test on the heel of my foot and that came back positive for sickle cell anemia. What is an amniocentesis test? Well, basically that is where you have to check the baby inside the womb, and I think back then they used to take this big long fuck off needle, please excuse my language, and they used to inject it into the stomach, and then they'd have to, I think it reaches the baby. I don't know how they do it now, so if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. I did do a fact check, but Google was giving me some really strange ways how they do this, because now it's changed and back then it was very different. So anemia. So let's get into it. My first ever crisis. My first crisis was at 9 months. My mom said that my hands and feet got swollen, which happens in babies when they have sickle crisis, which is called, I think she said it's hand and foot syndrome with pain. So I was crying, I was in pain, you know, she was a young mom, things were stressful, and then it got even more stressful when she took me to the hospital, because back then in Kings, you were, as a parent with a baby with sickle cell, they judge you. And because my mom was young, I had swollen hands and feet, they assumed my mom was abusing me. Honey, no. I don't remember those things because I was 9 months old. So yeah, I do, when my mom tells me that story, I feel for her, because it started so early. Luckily for some sickle patients, they're luckily enough to reach to 16 without having their first crisis. But don't get me wrong, those kind of sicklers, when that pain hits, it's either touch and go for them, because that pain can hit so hard that, you know, they may not make it to the next day. So if we fast forward to now, where I am pretty much in pain every day. I suffer from some form of pain. My main parts of pain hit me in my joints. So I get pain in my ankles, the base of my foot, knees, hips. Knees and hips are, it's like a favorite place for that to go. Elbows, shoulders, my neck. I've had a head crisis before, which leads on to strokes. A face crisis, a jaw crisis. I've had a chest crisis, which is called acute chest syndrome. And hands and fingers. I hate when my fingers have pain because I cannot write, I cannot grab things, and you have to grab things nearly every day. Like, you need your hands. My pain, on an everyday, my pain ranges between a 3 out of 10. A bad day, I would say 6. And when the crisis decides it's gonna sneak up on you, I'd say a 10. Now, I don't just suffer a bone crisis, I also suffer a blood crisis. A blood crisis is a lot different. Now, for me, I'm not sure about every other sickler, but for me, a blood crisis is when I have a very high temperature. The pain comes on so fast, like you turn of your head. Like, I cannot express. It comes out of nowhere. You think the bone ones come out of nowhere, but the blood ones, they come out of nowhere. They're painful. You could be out with your friends and it can strike you down. A blood crisis also makes my eyes go yellow, so I get jaundice. My kidneys and my liver start to slowly fail. And also my blood count drops really low. So my blood count, my hemoglobin is usually a 9.8, sometimes a 9.9. Very good for me sometimes. I try to keep it that way as much as I can, but you know, you can't control your blood. When my white blood cells go really high, that's a problem. That's when you know, okay, it's a hospital admission, because there's no way I can manage to keep that low at home. So I'll go in, and that's when they'll have to give me a blood transfusion. I've only ever had 2 blood transfusions and 1 blood exchange. So a blood transfusion is when my blood gets really low and they have to rush me either O positive or I think it's B. One of the B's. I think I can take both of them. And they give me about 2 pints of blood. And I can tell you this, usually after a blood transfusion, I'm okay. I seem to heal, like get better a lot quicker. Now I'm thankful, I'm very, very thankful, I cannot stress this enough, that I have only ever had 2 blood transfusions. My first blood transfusion was at 4. I don't really remember that crisis. All I can tell you about that crisis was I screamed a lot. I mean, I screamed to the point I think they had to put me to sleep. I was in that much pain. And I think the screaming also was part of them trying to get the needle in. Now I am petrified of needles, so yeah, that I probably was definitely screaming like that. And then my second crisis, I was 20, nearly 21. I think I was like 21. I'm sure it was. No, I think it was before my 21st. It's either 20 or 21. See, I'm sorry guys, my memory is really bad, so I'm trying to give you the best I can. But anyways, it was a New Year's. I went to a friend's with my friends, and this is when I found out that I can't drink dark alcohol. I was drinking, playing games, everything was fine. Bearing in mind guys, I don't drink like a mad person. I know I'm not really allowed to drink, so I take a precaution. So a glass of wine here and there, like 2 is a minimum. Anything over, you're stupid. Well, I mean me. So yeah, the night counted down to New Year's, and then shortly after I went home and I came in, you know, everything was fine. I lay down on my bed, I was good. And then about an hour in to me getting into my bed, my back just went. Like, it hit me really hard. Like, it was to the point that I couldn't talk. Like, my stomach was like convulsing. I don't know if that's the right word, but I was like this the whole time. And then my legs went. So now it's in my back and now it's in my legs. And I tried to get out of bed and yeah, that didn't work. So my boyfriend at the time had to carry me to the toilet, and that's when I explained that I'm in pain. But I thought, okay, cool, I'm gonna get over it, just take some painkillers. Yeah, I didn't sleep that night. I did not sleep that night at all. Also, when a crisis happens, I have warnings. That particular night, I had no warnings. Like, it just sneaked up on me. And I just couldn't sleep. It was so painful. Every turn, every position was uncomfortable. And then when you finally found somewhere that was comfortable, the slightest second you move, it starts hurting. I tried to stay at home as long as I could. I usually like to try and manage my crisis at home because I feel safer, I feel protected, and if I need medication, my mum is just on it. Hospitals, you could ring that bell 4 or 5 times. I understand that the nurses are busy as hell, but when I need the painkillers, I need the painkillers. Do you know what I mean? Sound a bit like a drug addict, but that is how it is. So yeah, I tried really hard to stay home, but I couldn't. So I had to go to Lewisham Hospital. In there, I suddenly started to go yellow, and I mean yellow like a Simpson. Like the palm of my hands was yellow, my eyes were yellow. Sorry guys, camera just cut off. So yeah, I think I got up to my eyes were yellow. My lips kind of went yellow too, and then my skin kind of had like a yellowy tinge to it. Now, my hospital is King's College Hospital in Denmark Hill. And the only reason why I went to Lewisham was because it was the closest place that I could get to because of the amount of pain I was in. Now let me tell you, when you have a specific hospital, go to said specific hospital, because Lewisham, they were giving me the wrong medication, the wrong blood thinner, and the wrong antibiotic. So after a week, I am not getting better. And my mum's like, what is going on here? It got to the point that my mum had to self-discharge me. I got to spend 1 day at home, and then the very next day, my boyfriend took me to the hospital. My then boyfriend took me to the hospital. And yeah, as soon as I got to King's, they checked my blood, and straight away they came back and was like, right, you need a blood transfusion. They got me to the ward, and they got me in a blood transfusion, I'd say in about 3 hours. They were not ramping. I have to give it to King's. When it comes to me and a crisis, lately they've got much better, but back then it was like, okay, we gotta move so fast. And shortly after I had my blood transfusion, I'd say about 4 days later, I was able to walk. So that was I was happy. And as soon as I'm able to walk, get me home. That is how it goes for me. Get me home. I don't want to be here no more. Hospitals freak me out. I'm a little scared of the hospital. 1, because I lost my great grandmother, and 2, I've always had this feeling that just one day I won't get him come out. I don't know, that sounds kind of morbid, but that's an actual worry for me. I actually feel like sometimes, like, I hate when my mum has to leave me, because it's like, Mom, please don't leave me. Please stay. She can't stay anymore. I'm not a child. After like 3 days, then fine, I can get over it. But sometimes it is a little hard for me. It is. So yeah. And after that, the last train of thought. After that was my blood exchange, which was about, how old was I? 23? I can't even remember how old I was. Right, my blood exchange was mainly for my hip replacement. Yes, I have had a hip replacement. because of my sickle cell, I have AVN, which is avascular necrosis. It affects the joints, it deteriorates your bones, and after a certain amount of years, you can't move them. So I suffered from bad hip problems from the age of 11, and by the time I hit 18, I was able to slap my hip out of place. It even got worse for me, really, like in the middle of school, secondary. I was walking around school with a crutch. A lot of you guys should remember that. And the funny thing was, back then, a lot of my school friends were like, why do you need a crutch? Because the day before, I was walking around fine. But because it had gotten so bad, by the time I went to the hospital, they had I had to use a crutch. Like, they phoned up my mom and they were like, right, you need to put Tanika on a crutch. She has to use them for school. Because back in my secondary school, we had a lot of fucking stairs. We had so much stairs. Maybe it's just because I've just got really bad bones, but oh my god. Just to go to the toilet, you had to go up a bunch of stairs. Anyways, I'm going way off of track. So yeah, a lot of my friends were just like, why you got a crutch? I actually got laughed at a couple of times. It was embarrassing for me because I hid that a lot from people close to me when it came to school. I didn't ever want anyone to see me like that. I didn't want anyone to see a side where I couldn't walk. I didn't want anyone to see a side where I can't talk. I didn't want anyone to see a side where I'm crying because I'm in pain, but to you I look fine because you can't see it. So I went through all of those kind of things. And anyways, let me get back onto it. Yeah, so I had to go to King's and have my blood exchange. So they took 10 pints from me and put 10 pints back. So in one arm they had the blood going out, and in the other they had the blood going back in. Now, I'm scared of needles. So when they came at me with this needle, mate, no. And you know what, I didn't even get it done here. They put it in my knuckle. The bastards put it in my knuckle. Can you believe it? You didn't feel anything with that. You were just I was in there for about 3-4 hours. Extremely tired. Like, I was so drained. I was so drained to the point that even though they gave me food, I didn't even want to eat. I was like just knackered after that. But then 2 days later I had my hip replaced, and it's been the best thing I've ever done. It has been the best thing I've ever done. Like, I don't have to slide my hip out and drop it down. Like, I used to have to pop and drop just to get rid of the pain, or I'd have to lift it, slam it, and then slam it back in something like a car or a wall. Yeah, it's not pleasant, but that's what I used to have to go through. And then in 2016, on the 4th of July, my brother's birthday, I got a hip. And the first day I had my operation done, I could walk. I was like, right, I want to walk. Get me up.
Okay, Tina's gonna attempt the steps with the crutches. Take your time. Do you need me to be behind you?
No.
Wouldn't it be easier to straighten your back instead of bending down?
No, she told me to bed.
Okay.
And it's always 5 legs first.
I've always told you that. You did it! Yay!
Obviously I had to use crutches, but I was like, yeah, I'm ready. I just want to heal, leave, go home. So I have to admit, when it comes to a sickle crisis now, I still do get hip pain, but more on my right side, because now my right side is affected by AVN and that bone is deteriorating quite fast. I also have AVN in my shoulders, which, from what I've been told, cannot be replaced. We'll see, we'll give it a couple years. It took about 10 years before this deteriorated to my left hip really deteriorated. When they gave me my new hip, they gave me my hip bone, and then they gave me this long, I think it's titanium bit to about my knee. So yeah, when my knees go, because I will get AVN in my knees, I think they'll do something about that, but the doctors haven't really said anything to me. So those were my blood transfusions and blood exchanges, which is why lately a lot of people are like, give blood, because the sicklers nowadays, it's getting really bad, guys. Like, the crisis is just too much, and sometimes it's taken me this long to get here, but sometimes some sicklers, they want to be normal so bad, so they'll keep on doing things like they know they shouldn't do. All in moderation, guys, all in moderation. I'd have to admit, it took me till about 16 to realize, no, I need to start looking after myself. You know, I need to stop acting like I'm the average human, because I'm not. Stop wearing small stupid jackets, stop wearing flat trainers, stop wearing thin socks, stop wearing skinny jeans. Bearing in mind I still wear skinny jeans, but I'm smart, I wear something under them. You know, for me, I wanted to fit in so bad, and I couldn't, and I would not accept it. And then it just got to the point where, if I die, yeah, don't mean to be morbid again, but if I did die, what was the point? I could live a longer and happier life by trying to stay out of a crisis than to just keep accepting one every week. Okay, granted, yes, I suffer from pain every day now, but it's to a point where I can somewhat manage it. Yes, it does cause me mental strain being in pain every day, but since this year's began, I've got a little system going on, but I'll get into that on the next video. So, after pain, let's get into painkillers. Okay, so this is drug bag number 1. Drug bag number 2. Drug bag number 3. And this is just my everydays that I carry in my rucksack. So, medications that I take. I know, it's a lot, right? The medications I take are codeine phosphate, ibuprofen, and paracetamol. I would say I take about 40 tablets a day, because I got to take all of those 3 tablets I just named you all together. It's the only way I can have a kind of pain-free day. Paracetamol alone does fuck all. Excuse my language again, but it's the only way I can really express to you. It doesn't do anything. Headache? Oh please. Ibuprofen by itself does nothing. Codeine by itself does nothing. Instead, it just makes me stupid high, and I don't like it. To be honest, all 3 of those tablets, when I take them, make me stupid high. So the side effects are, I get jittery, I get cold, I want to talk an awful lot, like I want to tell you how I feel about you, I want to tell you how much you mean to me, thank you for doing this, like, that's how I feel. Hidden thoughts I have to myself. I have to be careful, because the painkillers have me so souped up. It's like, I need to tell you this. Nobody wants to hear that. My next set are my dailies, which are penicillin, folic acid, and hydroxycarbamide. Now, a lot of you are going to ask what is hydroxycarbamide. Hydroxycarbamide is hydroxyurea, and that is a cancer drug. It also is a blood modifying drug, which is supposed to limit the amount of crisis I have. Yeah, I don't think it does that. Hey guys, my camera keeps cutting off, so we are going to make this into 2 parts instead of one whole video. But thank you for watching so far, guys, and I can't wait to drop the second part of this video on Friday. If you have any questions you want to ask me, feel free. You know where my Instagram is at, you know where my Twitter is. I don't know if I've actually put my Twitter in there. It is Tanika Marie. It's Tanika Marie. for Twitter. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and hit that bell button, guys, so you can be notified when the next video is out. Love you, and I will see you on Friday. Peace.